All right, what's going on, you guys? Brian here with my Ric Flair's last match event recap, recapping everything that went down tonight on at Ric Flair's last match event, promoted by Jim Crockett Promotions. So let's just get into it. On the pre-show, Ren Narita defeated Yuya Uemura in a New Japan Pro Wrestling Showcase match. We heard from Jay Lethal, as well as the wife of Jeff Jarrett, Karen Jarrett, ahead of the big main event that would see Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal teaming up to take on Andrade and Nature Boy Ric Flair in Ric Flair's last match. In the Bunkhouse Battle Royal that featured a lot of different talents from many different promotions. That one would be won by GCW's Mance Warner, the Southern Psychopath. At the beginning of the Battle Royal, Nick Gage would come out and basically is like, "Where's my gang at? Where's my gang at?" And here comes a bunch of GCW wrestlers wanting to know why there was no GCW representatives in the Bunkhouse Battle Royal, so they just basically took over, and it would end up where Mance Warner and Bully Ray would be the last two, and Bully Ray put Mance Warner through a table, but then when he tried to eliminate him, Mance Warner would eliminate Bully Ray to win the Bunkhouse Battle Royal. Then on the main show itself, we had the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, with a big tag team victory over the Wolves, Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards. Then Killer Cross defeated Davey Boy Smith Jr. in what I thought was an okay match. The one with the Wolves and the Motor City Machine Guns, I thought that was a pretty good, solid opener. Jonathan Gresham won a Four Corners match against Nick Wayne, Alan Angels, and Konosuke Takeshita, picking up a big win, rebounding from losing the Ring of Honor World title and everything that's been going on in the news with Jonathan Gresham as far as him requesting his release from AEW and Ring of Honor. Then we had Brian Pillman Jr. and Brock Anderson representing the Four Horsemen, along with Brock's father, legendary Hall of Famer Arn Anderson in their corner. They defeated Kerry and Ricky Morton, representing the Rock and Roll Express, and Ricky Morton's tag team partner in the Rock and Roll Express, Robert Gibson, was in their corner for this one, but it was Brock Anderson and Brian Pillman Jr. Picking up the win when Brock pinned Ricky Morton. We had Ray Phoenix winning a four-way match, defeating Laredo Kid, Black Taurus, and Bandito. In the Impact World Championship match between Jacob Fatu and the champion Josh Alexander, Brian Myers and Matt Cardona, they would interrupt this matchup, and it would end up in a no contest. However, they would get theirs in the end with Matt Cardona getting a diamond cutter from Diamond Dallas Page. Then we had the Briscoes defeating the Von Erichs in what I thought was a really good tag team matchup. Jordan Grace retained her Knockouts Championship in a triple threat against Rachel Ellering and Deonna Purrazzo when she pinned Rachel Ellering. And then in the main event, it was Andrade and Nature Boy Ric Flair picking up the win over Double J Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal when Ric Flair, using brass knuckles that were thrown to Andrade by Ric Flair's other son-in-law, Conrad Thompson, Andrade would get those brass knucks and then hand them to Ric Flair, who would then use them on Jeff Jarrett, who had earlier in the match tried to use his guitar on Rick. However, Andrade pulled Ric Flair out of the way, and Jarrett wound up hitting Jay Lethal with the guitar, taking him out, and then Ric Flair used the brass knucks, hit Jeff Jarrett, knocking him out, locking in the figure four, The referee Mike Chioda, who was refereeing this match, he was knocked out of the ring, and then another referee came down and made the 1-2-3. So Ric Flair and Andrade win Ric Flair's last match tonight in Nashville at the historic Municipal Auditorium. Then after the match, a very emotional speech by Ric Flair. And then when they were walking up the ramp, him and Andrade, Jay Lethal would come out and wound up hugging Ric Flair, showing his respect for the Nature Boy and his legendary career. Also, during this matchup, Ric Flair's daughter, Megan, she would get involved going after Karen, who was going after Rick, and Megan and Conrad and Wendy, they were sitting in the front row ringside, and when Karen went after Rick, not only did Megan get Karen, but Wendy went after her as well. So no one was going to mess with Rick when those two were there. So there was a lot of different wrestlers and names of the business that were in attendance. J.J. Dillon, who was the manager of the Four Horsemen, he was there. Mick Foley was there. Bret Hart was there. Vicky Guerrero was there. The Undertaker with Michelle McCool, they were there as well to show their support for Rick. We heard different interviews with Cody Rhodes, Sting, Nick Aldis. There was somebody else, Lex Luger. They played throughout the show. It did get a little bit repetitive when they were playing them, because it was like they showed them on the pre-show, which was like an hour long. They were showing the ones like from Sting and Cody Rhodes and Nick Aldis, but then they played them again, and I'm like, okay, play somebody else. But it turned out to be a great show. I would recommend checking it out if you guys did not see it. The one match I would say recommend checking out is the Laredo Kid, Ray Phoenix, Bandito, and Black Taurus match. I thought that was really good. I also thought the other four-way match that was on there with Jonathan Gresham, Nick Wayne, Alan Angels, and Konosuke Takeshita, that was pretty good as well. Of course, the Ric Flair, Andrade versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal was decent. From top to bottom, the show was really good, and in my opinion, I really thought that it turned out great. So with that in mind, if you guys watched tonight's event, let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments below. This has been my Ric Flair's Last Match event recap. As always, I am Brian, and I will see you next time. See ya.